Hallo und herzlich willkommen zu einem neuen Video hier auf diesem Kanal. Heute berichtet uns die Russin Maria Ivanova, wie sehr die westlichen Sanktionen in Russland zu spüren sind und wie sie in die Zukunft blickt. Denn heute gibt es den zweiten Teil des Interviews, was wir mit ihr führen durften. Den ersten Teil findet ihr auf der Infocard verlinkt. Auch dieses Mal gilt, ihr findet die deutsche Übersetzung und auch die englischen Originaluntertitel, wenn ihr die YouTube-Untertitel aktiviert. Und dann wünsche ich euch jetzt gute und informative Unterhaltung.
You mentioned the economical sanctions. How much do you feel the effects of these sanctions in your personal life?
At the moment, we cannot see anything, at least in Moscow, to be honest. Again, when I was in Moscow last week, I walked through a lot of malls and shopping centers, and I even went through very, fashionable streets where all, fashionable boutiques are placed. They all were actually closed formally, so the doors were closed, but all the windows were open, so anyone can see what is inside, that there is a new collection inside, or that they are full of products, and each door had a notice that we are so sorry for this temporary closure, we are very sorry for the temporary inconvenience, and we do hope to see it rather soon. I mean, and I think that in general it refers to all the businesses which were operating in Russia and now decided to pause or suspend their business. But evidently, I think that these businesses also are under huge pressure because some businesses are placed on land. So they invested a lot in factories, in stores, in different premises, in warehouses. I might assume for these companies it's a huge impact, financial impact, just to close everything in one day and say, so we're closed, we do nothing in common with Russia. And so I think that this is a big question. I know companies that actually prefer to stay, and they even have the intention of growth in Russia. If you ask me whether it's right or not, I cannot tell you because personally, I do not know. I do not know whether the closure of, I do not know, clothes stores or food stores or something like that indeed helped the country to change the regime. Honestly, I do not think so.
But
Because
if you were to decide if these sanctions were to be placed or not, what would your decision be? Just out of impulse.
It's very hard. I think that the pause is very healthy solution because nobody understands what would be next. So, but definitely, in case the invasion is going to be escalated or something like that, there is no agreement. Naturally, it would be very hard for, I think, for Western people to operate in Russia. I can imagine that. I can tell you that this will first hit regular people like us. Absolutely. And I'm not sure that this is indeed the target because, okay, but what's, say, pregnant women, for example, or newborn babies or elderly people? They were hit in the first row. So that's a big question for me. I mean, I can understand politically why it's happening, but on human level, it's very hard to judge.
Yeah.
It's very hard to judge.
Many Russians have chosen to actually leave the country because of the current situation. Have you thought about it yourself, or do you know any people that do or did?
Plenty of people just in panic rushed out. Now they do not know what to do because actually not in Russia not every person is an oligarch with endless stock of money. So, okay, you decided to leave the country. So you go away, you do not have job, you do not have house, you actually separated from your family anyway, because it's very hard, say, to move with the elderly parents. It's very hard. I mean, for my generation, if a person has kids, of course, we need to do, I think, the best to provide them with the choice. And if it goes like that in this country, they might be very limited choice. So that's the truth. For me, the decision to leave the country is not on the top. I can tell you that for me, it's very sometimes strange to look at these people who rushed out, especially. I can tell you that not many Russian people still know English, even English. I do not talk about any other languages. For me, I can imagine, for example, if you go somewhere, say, if you travel to France and you can speak only English, it's very hard. because French people won't talk to you in English.
Yeah.
I think that this is not really thoughtful decision at the moment.
Yeah. Look into the future, just a couple months. What do you think that will still change? Not just for you, but for the whole of Russia itself.
Russia is very diverse, so I cannot tell you for the whole Russia, because I can tell you right now that living, say, in Moscow region, or St. Pete, or in big cities, this is one story. Another story is for people who are living somewhere in the middle of nowhere in Russia. Actually, for these people, nothing is changing at all, in general at all, because they never traveled, they never actually have any access to any informational source to make any, judgment in their head to think, is it right or is it wrong, or probably neutral or something like that. This is, I think, that the biggest fact that is not taken into account by Europe, by the US. These countries do not realize that for big portion of Russian people, and even probably for majority of Russian people, nothing is changing because they never seen anything else. So they probably stuck somewhere in the Middle Ages. People who are living indeed probably by how to say it, natural circles. Yeah, something like that. So they're very poor. I can tell you that they do not have any ambitions just because this is how they live. They indeed lived at a very low level before, and actually this level is not changing for them. But if we talk about Moscow, St. Pete, and big cities, and if we take into consideration that we have 140 million people in Russia in general, and in Moscow I think there is about 25 million, plus we have about 10 million in Moscow region, plus we have something like 10 or 12 million in St. Pete. So I can tell you that this is a big portion of people. Those people who were traveling, who actually had their jobs, had access to internet and to different informational resources. Of course, for them, this is a huge stroke. Regardless if they are patriots or not, this will be evident, and exactly as you say, in 2 months. Because what is happening now, in my view, in general, we have the stock levels, food and all, fast-moving consumer goods, clothes, etc., just from normal operation. I think that's from 1 to 3 months. So averagely, it's exactly 2 months. And if nothing changes by end of May, I think that everybody will feel a huge impact on just food level.
You mean starvation as well? Or
No, I cannot tell you that starvation probably in Moscow again. It's Moscow is as somebody said, Moscow is a state itself. But anyway, in Moscow we will have shortages, of course.
Yeah.
I think that by the time the companies which actually post their business, they will have to take the decision what to do next. I think that indeed, starting from May, middle May probably, some change definitely should happen. Just because otherwise we cannot stuck. It's natural, so there will be two roads, whether we are going more or less to normal, because I do not think that we can go back to normal as we used to be before the 24th, but at least we will go to the roads where we will see certain development.
Yeah.
So we are back. We are definitely back 20 years or something like that, not less, even more probably. But if we go the other road, then it's indeed Iron Curtain and all these terrible things. But I'm not sure that even for the current lead of the country, this is what they want. Because we are not definitely North Korea. The country is too big, just from that perspective. It's very hard to keep this regime in a big country.
Yeah. And would you like to have an ending message?
Probably yes. I would really like to say that, first of all, we are not like, Russians, at least not of all Russians, are the same like the current leader. There are normal people here. I really would like to deliver this message everywhere where I can, because indeed we at the moment we have the mask of one person, but this is not fully right. I mean, there are still reasonable and heartful and kind and nice people here. And another thing is that personally, I do hope, this is the only thing that really keeps me at least somehow positive. I think that the hope is very important, and the hope for the better, because the normal peaceful mindset of normal people should win in this fight, because otherwise the whole world is in danger. So let us hope that kindness and love will win, because otherwise indeed we are in a very bad fairy tale.
Vielen Dank auch an dieser Stelle nochmal an Maria Ivanova, dass wir die Möglichkeit hatten, sie zu interviewen. Wir haben das Gespräch am 26. März aufgezeichnet. Unsere weiteren Videos zum Ukraine-Krieg findet ihr jetzt hier verlinkt oder ihr klickt auf ein anderes Video, was YouTube euch empfiehlt. Vergesst so oder so nicht, den Kanal zu abonnieren und die Glocke zu aktivieren. Dann sehen wir uns schon dieses Wochenende wieder. Bis dahin, ciao.